Hello everyone, it is Joe here from OmniPoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. Today we're looking at Vespiquen Flareon. It's an archetype that's still very relevant in Expanded and I believe to be potentially pretty powerful. This archetype holds a big place in my heart because the first tournament I ever won was with Flareon, and I've also won a regionals with Vespiquen, so I love this combination of two cards together. I love this style of deck, and it's pretty simple. We're just going to throw a bunch of Pokemon into the discard pile with the likes of Compressor, Ultra Ball, Juniper, and sometimes our own abilities can dump themselves in the discard. Obviously, when our stuff gets knocked out, they jump into the discard pile as well. And it's just going to fuel our damage output, and it's going to get continually higher and higher and higher, and we're going to reach one-hit KOs from, you know, the mid to late game, obviously, but also if you hit your compressors early, you can be swinging pretty dangerously, even on the likes of like turn 2 or 3. So this archetype is a simple DCE-based deck, giving us space to play 30 Pokemon. Half the deck is Pokemon, and it just means that we can have a constant stream of attackers rolling with these stage 1s, and yeah, should be good overall. So let's have a look at this deck. First of all, 4-4 line of Vespiquen. We don't play any grass energy, so pick whichever Combee you like. There are 2 options that have 40 hit points, and it's up to you. But the Vespiquen has 90 hit points, and it has 2 attacks. Intelligence Gathering for a colorless does 10, and you can draw until you have 6. If you're really bricking, you can go for this, but it's all about Be Revenge, really. You do 20 plus 10 for each Pokemon in your discard pile. Obviously, we're going to try and fuel our deck with those as much as possible. And this also is free retreat as well, so it's nice to have a little pivot in here as well if we really need to. It means we can Guzma much more easily because we can free retreat first, then Guzma back into the active if we need to. So definitely a great card overall. Grass typing is amazing for Seismitoad EX as well as Magikarp and Werelord GX. So this is going to be a really good way that we can uptrade on those decks, which is really awesome. From there, we're going to have a 4-4 line of Flareon. The Eevee, we don't have Fire Energies in here, so Energy Evolution isn't all that relevant. But we do have Signs of Evolution as an option, allowing us to search for 3 Pokemon of different types that evolve from Eevee. Essentially, this means if, again, we're in that brick situation, you can just search for a Flareon, so you can be Vengeancing next turn as long as this Eevee survives. You know, probably this Eevee's not going to be sticking around if you just attach a DC and attack, but it's an option just in case you are absolutely bricking. You can thin a card from your deck and guarantee an attacker for turn 2. There are other Eevee options. They can do like 20 damage for you as well, so if you want to go down that route, you absolutely can. But Energy Evolution, not important for us here, so make sure you have a 60 hit point Eevee at the very least. And the Flareon is a stage 1 with 100 hit points, fire typing, and it has the same Vengeance attack that Be Revenge does, 20 plus 10 for each Pokemon in your discard pile. That's pretty much the entirety of the deck. Throw them all in the bin and do a bunch of damage. That is the idea. And yeah, pretty simple overall how we're going to try and do this. So we also have fire typing. It's not super relevant right now. There aren't many grass decks roaming around in Expanded, but if ever you have some type coverage, that could be worth noting. So let's talk about all these other tech Pokemon. The rest of the deck is just Pokemon that we can either bin or use in the right situations. So let's stick with our 4 ofs. Farewell Letter is unknown. It's literally just bin it for a card and draw a card. Very simple. It's like we're playing a 56 card deck, and this is, you know, a free 40 damage for us, which is always awesome. 2 Shaymin-EX allow us to set up and draw more cards, which really is helpful when we're trying to dig for lots of Pokemon in our discard pile. The more compressors, the better, so finding these Shaymins are really important. Additionally, we do play Parallel City in the deck, so we can use these EXs and GXs in the form of Tapu Lele, and we can hopefully remove them from our board as well to, again, continue to increase our damage output. At the same time, we remove these GXs and EXs from our field, so we're not really hurt by them later on in the game, which is cool. So yeah, 2 Shaymin, 1 Lele for that Wonder Tag ability to get into some of our one-of supporter cards, and just for early turn searchability with Ultra Ball. From there, we're going to have some mini draw engine of a 1-1 Octillery in here. Abyssal Hand is a really nice ability to have, allowing you to draw up to 5. There's a few different stage 1 options that you could be thinking about for having some like consistency in here. I've looked at Zebstrika as well, but I think we're so good with this list, with Battle Compressor already thinning our deck, that I want to have the Octillery. Most notably, Remoraid is water, so there are some fighting-based decks and Buzzwole-based decks which just are going to play Brooklet Hill for you, and in those situations, the Remoraid is just a brilliant basic to have in here because it's a free search for you. So that's the main reason I prefer this over Zebstrika, but at the same time, the Zebra can be awkward for getting rid of too many VS Seekers or Special Charges or stuff like that, so Octillery overall feels a little bit safer for me. In addition, we're going to have one copy of Instruct Oranguru. This has been like a 4-of in other Vespiquen decks, but that was back when there was delinquent shenanigans going on in Expanded, so we get to just play one copy of this now. Instruct is still reasonable to help us end proof, so this combination is going to be really nice for getting us a few extra draws here and there, and making sure that we don't get end out of the game is our hope at the end of the day. From there, we're going to have one copy of Mr. Mime for Bench Barrier, preventing all damage done to your bench Pokemon's attacks. Really nice against Magikarp Warlord and Pikarom. You really want to not get damaged on spread, because, you know, it means that they can take 2 prizes in the case of Pikarom at once, or they can take, you know, your entire field out with a Magikarp and Warlord tag team. Bear in mind, if you have a Vespiquen active still, they can take 3 or 4 prizes, but then you take 3 prizes immediately back, so you don't insta-lose to a Magikarp and Warlord GX attack, but it is really horrible for you in terms of how your board state looks. So the one Mr. Mime, and I'm also playing one Daunting Pose Machoke for the same reason. Your opponent's attacks and abilities can't put damage counters on your bench Pokemon, so that's pretty awesome. Alongside the Ditto, we have a stage 1 way of protecting our bench, because of course we want to get around Silent Lab, which a bunch of these Magikarp decks and Pikarom plays. So having this in here protects us even against Silent Lab. So I like having both in here. Mr. Mime just for its immediate access, and Machoke can be dittoed into if we really have to. I think the Ditto is a nice one of, even though this doesn't go into the discard pile, it goes into our lost zone. I think having the versatility of evolving into Flareon, Vespiquen, Machoke, or Octillery is just so good to have. So having 4 stage 1s, just for me, it makes sense to play the Ditto, even though it's, you know, a negative 10 damage for us in here. And then we have one Exeggcute Propagation. Alongside this Battle Compressor is so obviously powerful, we can just bin it, and it makes our Ultra Balls less painful throughout the entire game, which is very, very reasonable for us. So it's a nice one-off that we can just throw away when we need to and get back when we need to as well. So overall, pretty good one-off to have in the deck to fill out our Pokemon curve. So yeah, that's going to be it for the Pokemon. Onto the item cards. There's not much space for much else, so it's limited to what we can play. One Computer Search just can be more discard and grabs us anything, which is really nice. 4 Compressor, obviously chucking as many Pokemon in the bin as possible is going to be our priority. 4 Ultra Ball, again searching stuff out. Versus Seeker, making us use our supporters. 2 Special Charge, because we only rely on 4 DCE, so being able to recycle this is really important. 1 copy of Parallel. I've already mentioned how important it can be for removing your GXs and EXs from play. It can also just be extra damage in general if we haven't had to put these into play as well, which is really cool for us. And then we have lots of one-off supporters. 1 Faber to help remove ability lock tools from Garbodor. Additionally, getting rid of focus sashes on like Lucario and Buzzwole is pretty important. 1 copy of Guzma for gusting. 1 copy of N for disruption on our opponent's end. 1 copy of Colress for getting big hand sizes. 1 Teammates for guaranteeing the likes of DCE to continue our chain of attacks. And 3 Juniper, just because it's pretty much the best early game supporter we can use, whilst also having synergy with putting stuff in the bin, which is pretty much fantastic. 2 copies of Floatstone, because we have some chunky retreaters in Octillery, Oranguru, even Machoke is the chunkiest with a 3 retreat cost, so that's something we definitely want to keep an eye out for. And then just 4 double Colorless Energy to round out the deck. It's going to really help us just get attacking over and over again. Pretty simple stuff. So that is going to be the list. I don't think there's too many other Pokemon I would seriously consider, but at the same time, you're a Vespiquen deck. You could try all sorts of different things in here. I've thought about playing Persimmon. I've thought about playing a whole bunch of Pokemon, to be honest. The Zebstrika is another one that you can think about over the Octillery. And let me know if you like the Ditto or not, because that's something that I'm not too sure on myself. But at the moment, I like the Ditto Machoke, just because I'm so paranoid about just getting crumbed over by Archiestoise. After playing Archiestoise like yesterday, I was like, oh yikes, this deck is scary. Let's put some answers in for that deck, even though we're a grass deck. Still think it's worth teching for. You could think about playing Life Do as well if you really wanted to, but I think it's a lot less viable now that most decks are playing Faber anyway, just for Focus Sash. Alright, we start with a pretty nice Juniper. We also have Combee as a lead. We are going second, so I can think about putting down this Oranguru, and I am going to go for it. And it looks like we're up against a Zoroark deck. So we need to get 19 Pokemon in our discard pile of our 30. We've put 2 into play already. And we're only very scared if people are playing Karen. That's the biggest fear for this deck. You don't care about item lock. You care a little bit about ability lock alongside N. But the thing we're most scared of is Karen or Oricorio. Those are the 2 things we're petrified of coming up against. But Vespiquen Flareon is not, you know, in the top 5 of decks, I would say. And when it's not in the top 5 of decks, you don't have, like, you don't expect many people to tech for something that's so low down the rankings of decks. That I've not seen many Karens or Oricorios recently, so I feel fairly confident that not many people are playing them. Let's put down a Combee and let's Sycamore or Juniper this hand. 2 Pokemon. Lots more Pokemon. We don't need this in the matchup. We don't need this. And we have our Vespiquen, so I don't think we need Lele from now on either. Our Guzma is prized, which is a little scary. We have all 4 DCE. Have 2 Special Charge. We've prized a Flareon. Prized a Combee. Okay. Little hesitant to put down this Ditto because it's so likely to get shut off next turn. They just went for Bridget. No other draw though. And they don't really have bench space for Shaymin or anything like that, so maybe we can get away with this Ditto. Don't feel too confident in it. The only downside, like the only reason to... we'll put it down, we'll put it down. It makes his Colress slightly stronger, and we may never get the chance to use it. But we can get rid of 1 Shaymin here, I think. Seeing as though we're holding on to Parallel, we'll probably have to get rid of that anyway. Let's get rid of 1 of these. And I think it's 1 of these that goes. Maybe it's just the unknowns. It's always good to get full value out of unknown, but they still end up in the bin anyway, eventually. Let's pass. Our hand is pretty well set up for a Colress next turn. Our opponent is a Skyfield deck as well, which is good for us. They're going to go Zoroark number 1, trade number 1. They bin their own Guzma. Zoroark number 2. Gets rid of a Zorua. They're going to Vespiquen. And they're going to use this Guzma to stall us by the looks of things. Good news. Bad news is we don't have Guzma in our deck, so this stall is definitely going to work, but at least we're able to evolve up this Ditto and get value here. Let's play Colress. Can actually take a knockout this turn, which is great. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Do this. This. We want to attack with a Vespiquen because the other guy has a Ditto underneath it, so this gives us more damage output. Could continue to Shaymin. I don't mind it just because we're not going to have Shaymin for long, and we know we have Parallel in deck because we've seen it already. There is Parallel. Don't think we use it just yet though. His hand is weak. We pick up a Faber. That's not a bad price to take because we might need it to remove some ability lock. Gonna start seeing some trading from our opponent. Let's see if they can get into DCE now. Or any supporter. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 18, 19, 20. I think Teammates pushes us just shy of knockout. Ah, Skyfield could help us get there. Oh boy, they did play Oricorio. Oh, this guy knows. He knows. Still respecting the Vespiquen. Fair enough. I'm going to stick a bursting balloon on the back. So Oranguru is definitely a threat because we need to put 190 worth of damage into the bin for Zoroark, which means the Oranguru can take 2 prizes immediately back. And we don't have Guzma, so we can't access his bench ever. So this is a big problem. I'm going to play Teammates. It's just Compressor Vesp here. We're going to parallel ourselves. Continue to attack with this guy. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 lets him go. 6. So I can't go over 15. If we're not taking a knockout, we don't want to go over 15. So we go 14. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, we don't want to go to 15. That's the number we don't want to touch. This is definitely a little scary though. So we'll just hit him for 160. This means the Oranguru can only take 1 prize, so there's no point in him using it. But it does leave us open to an Acerola. And he does have 3 trades available. Which is pretty scary. That's trade number 3. Thinking now, maybe it was better for me to hold my Compressor last turn. Oh, they're still going to go for it? They're going to get a big Colress hand. They can use Klefki this turn on their Garbodor. I really don't mind them using the Oranguru this early. They're going to comp search as well. There goes Wonderlock. And they are going to Supernatural Dance. Looks like they want to knock out the Vespi. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 is a big card hand size for him next turn. It could just be DC N here. I think it's the best turn our N works for us. Thinking of just teammatesing again, but I think N is reasonable here, and N falls off like later. Let's go to 4 prizes. This is when we get very nervous. If he can get Stretcher, DCE, we're very, very nervous. Not many people tech Oricorio, he said. Interesting that he plays the Grimer as well. Gonna see setup. So he can access his entire deck, so he probably will be resurrecting Oricorio this turn. He's going to Wonder Tag as well. Going to grab Colress. And he's going to play Colress. He could already access his entire deck though, that feels weird. He probably should have ended us. No, this is fine, I guess. This is fine. I mean, his turn is bonkers because he can reuse an Oricorio. So, I can't judge the turn too poorly. Interestingly, he plays Grimer and Muck. Puts an extra card into his deck so we can trade again. Is his final card really... Well, one Stretcher's gone actually. Maybe he can't recycle it. Maybe he only plays... Nah, exactly. Yeah, he must play more than one Stretcher. He's going to put the Oricorio into deck, but he's going to search it out right now. Yeah. There it is. There's the Alolan Muck as well. Garb and Muck. Okay. So, we probably could have won this game if we hadn't prized our Guzma. But this should be lights out for us. Yep, can't win without Guzma. Feel bad, man. Someone's got the techs. Let's put the Machoke down next time against the Zoroark player, huh? Machoke can protect around damage counters on the bench. I just went, huh, don't need this card. Boy, was I wrong. We're up against Rotom Boys next. Get to go first, always good for an evolution deck. Our hand is dreadful. Guzma's not prized though. Good guy Guzma. Playing around Trash Launch. That's what we're doing. We're playing around Trash Launch. We're just gonna sit there. Oh, excuse me. They're going to grab a Buzz. They could have donked us had they had found Floatstone and attached, and not attached Pre-Cynthia. But he can garbage collection if he wants to put a Cynthia on top of his deck. Instead he's going to let loose us. We passed for turn and he still played let loose when he could have garbage collected a Cynthia to the top of his deck anyway. Slap for the head. Come on. Come on. That couldn't have been correct. There's no way that was correct. Okay, this time for sure we don't need the Mr. Mime and the Machoke is prized anyway. I hate getting rid of early. We can get rid of this early, I think. Potentially could have got rid of a early supporter there just for VS Seeker outs. Let's say farewell to a card. That's our requisite damage. I think I like Floatstone on Shaymin more than putting down Ditto. No, Ditto down is better. Our Parallel is actually not in deck. Now that's an awkward prize in a non-GX mirror. We'll have to try and dig towards that. All the Eevees. I don't want to put down all of them. It pigeonholes us into just spamming Flareon. I think we'll just put down one for now. Parallel? No, not parallel. 2 GXs down is really awkward. 1, 2, 3, 4 items. They're going to Enhanced Hammer. Probably a one-off just for the Pikarom matchup, so he can hit for weakness around Flash Energy. Also good against Zoroark when you garb them and E-Hammer. With only 4 items played, we might be safe this turn from an attack. To knock us out, at least. Looks like a strong energy to the bench and just a sledgehammer. Dodgeball away the stuff. I think I just want to grab more damage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 with the letter. That's 100. We have 2 more Flareons. I'm just thinking if I want to discard the Flareon and Eevee from our hand with this Juniper. I think we do. Pretty rough draw. Could have saved it till after. 7, 8. It's just we had way higher chances of drawing into a Pokemon than another VS Seeker. 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah. I think we toss these because we're going to be ability locked anyway. I think we just toss this. Hold the charge. Yeah, we'll hold the charge. That's a Sushi Master. Late to the party. We still have Monkey Master in here. Banana Master. So it's his Sledge turn. So he's going to replay Buzz, Special Charge. Play an N, sure. That's both of our Special Charges. Yikes. They play Regirock. Another Trubbish comes down. Looks like they missed energy, which is pretty good for us. We'll just keep taking prizes. Seems correct to me. Yep. We want a nice non-GX fight there. Let's try and get one more quick game in. Slight concern about this deck is the amount of one-offs we do play. Pokemon-wise and supporter-wise. It's a little scary. Sure. Dragon fighting. Garchomp should be an okay matchup for us as well. It's pretty easy for us to chain attackers. Probably harder for him. They play Octillery and Lucario. Huh. Cynthia. Of course. What other supporter would they be playing? Maybe no other supporters. They've got the never enough Gibble. What a busted Gibble. They're going to level ball and find another one. And it's Argo. So egg always goes. We have 4, 4, 4, 3. That always goes. We do have our parallel. Faber might be required for sashes. We can't take knockout turn 1 anyway. Because we have a 4/4 of the Flareon, we take that one over the Eevee. No, I guess we can just take this. More card draws, more card draw. We're drawing a lot of cards this turn. 15. Our mind's been made up for us. Farewell. Farewell. Is that hand good enough to hold? I feel like we still need lots of compressors for next turn. So I think I'm playing N here. This is too good of a hand to Juniper. This hand seems pretty nice. Potential to hold the Combee there, just to have, again, discard bait, but I think we're going to be Abyssal Handing before we Juniper next turn. So I think we'll be fine. Oh. They get out their precognitive aura, Lucario. They get an attachment this turn onto Gibble. No evolutions though. Feels so bad, man. Speaking of things feeling bad, this hand. Don't want to get rid of too many attackers. We need those. One interesting thing with this deck is you don't have any Pokemon recovery, so you always need to keep track of the amount you have. And in a non-GX matchup especially, that's the case. I think one of the Garchomps is weak to grass, so makes sense to take the knockout with Flareon while we can. It also has more hit points. Let's see a Floatstone on the Lucario. Here comes Rare Candy off the top. Must have been. Or the Garchomp was off the top. One of the two. Gonna see a Juniper. Obviously they don't need to Cynthia, because Royal Blades does 100 anyway. They're gonna evolve into a Gabite. Gibble on the bench. Buzzball on the back. Strong Energy on the back. Oh, so he's gonna be quick diving our Ditto by the looks of things. Which seems powerful. They just scoop. Okay. Could have quick dived, man. Could have quick dived. Well, unfortunately I don't have any more time for any more games, so that's going to be a short little intro to Vespi Flareon. But yeah, deck's powerful. The Machoke didn't really pay off too much. It could have been protection against Oricorio, so there's that added benefit for when you're in a best of 3 and you know your opponent does have an Oricorio, you can put that down. So then it's only Karen that mugs you off, or they kill the Machoke first. But that can stall their own process, etc, etc. So yeah, let me know what you think about Vespiquen Flareon. It's a big old throwback, and I still love playing Be Revenge. Such a great style of attack, and I think Compressor is one of the most busted cards ever printed. So yeah, awesome stuff. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in another expanded video soon. Cheers.